and the Todd Family YouTube video, wherever you are, whatever you may be doing. Thank you so much for making Ref Brandon and the Todd Family part of your day. We always greatly appreciate it. If you jump on here live here on this, feel free to leave a comment in the comment section. Make sure to give the video a like, a thumbs up. If you have not yet subscribed, please do so and share the video on all social media platforms. And not least, make sure you click that bell so you'll be notified whenever we go live. But tonight, we're going to have a fun conversation because I love to eat. And I think anybody that has extra time and extra money likes to travel. And most people here on this channel that have subscribed, that are viewers frequently, are football fans. So tonight we're going to talk about all three of those things together. Food, football, and travel. Now, back before I got in the wrestling business and I was free on Saturdays, I went to a lot of Clemson games. I've probably been to, 20 in my life, somewhere along in there. The number would be a lot higher if not for the wrestling business, but of course now tickets have gotten so high, I wouldn't go now anyway. Hey there, Deborah. Glad to have you here on this Saturday evening. But back when I used to go, a Clemson football ticket cost $55, and I would park about 2 miles from the stadium and get out and walk because I don't mind walking. Walking's good for you. One day when you're too old to walk, you'll be wishing you could walk. So I feel like, hey, while I'm able to walk, I don't mind walking. So I would pay $55 for a ticket to the game, and then I would park about 2 miles away, so parking was free. So I didn't pay to park. But, nowadays you go to a game and you're going to pay probably at least $150, if not more, for a general admission ticket. And about anywhere you go now, you got to pay to park. But a lot of people like to travel to different stadiums. I used to wish I did that, but then at the same time, I always thought, it'd be nice to travel, but as a Clemson fan, if I'm spending my Saturday game days traveling to other games at other venues, that means I'm missing the Clemson game. So I would always just choose to go to a Clemson game instead. Now, I did go to a Georgia game back when I was 12, maybe 13 years old. But outside of that, I've not been to a college football game that didn't feature Clemson or Georgia. But a lot of people love to travel, and everybody likes to eat. And typically, most of the time, if you go to a college football game, you're going to eat at least once, if not twice, while you're there, depending on, what time the game is, what time you get there, and what time you leave. So tonight's video is for all you traveling football fans out there. It's the best burger joint at every FBS school. Now, don't worry, the video's not going to be that long. I did not write down every single FBS school, but until the channel gets bigger, and I know it eventually will, most of our subscribers and viewers on the East Coast, between Kentucky down to Florida. So the only teams I'm going to cover is most of the teams in the ACC and the SEC because most of our viewers are from those areas. Now, when I say ACC and SEC, I mean the teams that geographically are in the ACC in the SEC, not the ones that have been added that geographic-wise make 0 sense. So it's the majority of the geographic teams that make sense in the ACC and the SEC. And it's just in case you ever get a free Saturday and you want to go to another, venue for another school, or if you've got the extra money and your team is traveling to one of these places. Now, as I said, it's the best burger joint at every FBS school. So we're not talking about a seafood restaurant. We're not talking about a steakhouse. We're just talking about a burger joint. And if you give me a good hamburger, I would just about pick that over about any good steakhouse or anything like that. I love steak, but nothing beats a good old-fashioned, home-cooked, the right way, juicy hamburger. But if you're ever going to go to Tuscaloosa, Alabama, they've got a restaurant there called Avenue Pub. Now, most of these restaurants that are at the school are 1 to 2 miles off of campus. They may not be directly on the campus, but they're no more than a mile or two off campus. And most of them have been around that campus and that school for years and years and years. So it's just kind of like tradition that if you go to that school or if you go to that school's game, you have to eat there. So for Alabama, it's Avenue Pub. For Auburn, it's Sheila C's. Used to be a singer back in the day. Her name was Sheila E. For Clemson, it's the Esso Club. For Duke, we have the Bull City Burger. Florida, Lucy's. And that's like loose ease, not the female name, Lucy. Loosseys, Lucy's. For Florida State, it's Proof Brew Company. And if you live down in South Georgia near the Valdosta area, you can be within a rock's throw away from Tallahassee, Florida. So, yeah, it's across the line, but it's not really far at all. For Georgia, it's Clocked Diner. For Georgia Southern, Nats Landing. Georgia Tech, the Vortex. And then I wrote down Kennesaw State. They're about the only team that I wrote down that's not, in a Power 4 conference. But if you're close to Georgia or Georgia Southern or Georgia Tech, you're not that far from Kennesaw State. There they've got Hudson Grill. Miami Locale. I'm assuming that's Locale. It's L-O-K-A-L, so it's local with a K, but Locale sounds correct to me. I couldn't pronounce it local knowing it's a K instead of a C. For Mississippi, it's Handy Andy. Hey there, Mark. Glad to have you here on this Saturday evening. Mark, if you're new to the channel, feel free to give the video a like, a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, tell your friends, tell your family about the channel. Make sure you share the video on all social media platforms and click that bell so you'll be notified whenever I go live. For Mississippi State, Bulldog Burger. For North Carolina, it's Al's Burger Shack. NC State, Players Retreat. Tennessee, Litton's. Vanderbilt, Pharmacy. Virginia, The Spot. And Virginia Tech, The Cellar. And I still haven't gotten over the fact that Vanderbilt's restaurant is called Pharmacy, because if you tell me, hey, let's go to the pharmacy, I'm not going to think about food. But in Nashville, for Vanderbilt, it's called Pharmacy. So if you're ever going to go to any of these places and you just want a good old-fashioned hamburger, these are the restaurants you go to. A lot of folks go there because, waiting on a hamburger doesn't take near as long as, when you're going to a big-time, huge dine-in restaurant with the full-fledged menu. Plus, a lot of times when you go to these down-home burger restaurants, if you go on game day, especially after the game, a lot of times you'll see the players or the coaches from the game you just watched inside the restaurant. Happens all the time. I know, especially at the SO Club, happens all the time that the players and coaches from all the sports, not just football, but all the collegiate sports, go in there. It's like a tradition. You don't go to Clemson and not go to the SO Club at least once. If you haven't been to the SO Club, you haven't been to Clemson. And it's that way at Clemson with the SO Club, but it's that way more than likely probably at every one of these schools at that local burger establishment. That's why they're there. And it's that way in every college town. You've got that, locally owned mom and pop restaurant that all the players, all the coaches, and all the fans go to. But any thoughts on any of this, please feel free to let me know. Let's go ahead and get our dad joke of the day in here. What kind of tree can you hold in your hand? A palm tree. And that does it for today's Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Until next time, it's Ref Brandon saying, just like in pro wrestling, life can be over by the count of three. Tell your friends and family how much